of a great stream of consciousness that I think is real. Oh, hey, what's up, Dean?
Hey, Mr. Jim, how are you?
I'm fantastic. The important thing is my pickle working? That's what we were talking about.
Exactly.
Is my pickle working? Is it working?
Yours is working. Your pickle's
Does it
working.
sound like me or does it sound like him?
No, you sound like Pickle, Mr. Pickle.
Okay, good. Okay, I know you like that. I know you like that a lot.
All righty then. So today, Dean, we have an interesting topic that we're going to talk about that's not going to be too long because we don't want to go too long. We never want to go too long. And we're talking about webinars and doing well at webinars. In fact, everybody, I'm going to have everybody guess. What is the optimal length for a webinar? In the comments, you could win the PIN number to Dean's own personal debit card. I'll give you that number.
It's funny. I just got it in the mail today. It's funny you say that.
Yeah, it's somebody going through your mailbox.
That's so funny. That's for one of my.
So make sure you click on StreamYard.com/Facebook.
Yes.
In order to, we can see who the smart asses are.
All right. 18 minutes is the ideal length for a webinar.
18 minutes is the first answer. So what do you think is the optimal length of time for a webinar? In all seriousness, though, there will be a cash prize for the person who's right. Dean will be supplying it. We'll get your name and everything. We'll send you the cash in U.S. postal mail, wrapped up in a remember when they used to wrap stuff in carbon paper? You know, that was like the big secret squirrel thing to be able to send cash through the mail, was to put it in carbon paper so nobody could see inside the envelope that you had cash in there. So in all seriousness, tell us, what do you think in the comments? What do you think is the optimal length for a webinar? I'm going to go check the people who are live over on the Jim and Dean show on jimanddeanshow.com. Monty says 55 minutes. Oh, well, thank you, Russell. Russell says, I will be forever grateful. See, he says thanks to me, not to you, Dean. I'll be forever grateful for your content, your training, and definitely for Funnel Scripts. Thank you, Jim Edwards. Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Somebody else says 43 minutes and 16.5 seconds. All right. Who else wants to guess? This is important. This is actually backed up by scientific data that I personally have collected. So this isn't some BS poll on the news. Have you ever looked at those polls on the news where you look at how many people they survey, and then what the over and under is, you know, the plus or minus and all that other stuff. And 9 out of 10 times, I love using statistics to describe statistics. 9 out of 10 times, if you take into consideration the over and the under and the small sample, basically they have no idea what they're talking about. And that is totally useless data, all these different things. Or here's my other favorite. You want my other favorite, Dean?
Give it to me.
This is what they do. You think when you look at this as a graph, this is important, kids. Okay. In fact, let me take up the whole screen because Dean loves it when I do that. So let's say if we're talking about like the decreasing cost of, I don't know, gas. Okay. So instead of, you would think on an XY axis that usually this is 0, right? So if we were going to do 2000 to like 21 to 2022, okay, you would think that this is 0 right here on the Y axis, right, Dean?
I would not think that at all.
You would, bull crap. Yes, you would. Okay. So now if we're showing something, what people will do is, like, if we wanted to show something like a dramatic dip, you know,
so what's
price,
the Y-axis is the price?
Right. Is the price. Okay. So now let's say that didn't happen. That's not going to help us. So now we want to say, okay, the drop in price from June to July. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You still think this is zero and like $5.99 a gallon. Okay. And so now you're like, wow, it's really gone down. So this isn't zero. This is $5.79.
Yeah, because what's the starting point?
Right. So what's the starting point? So that's how you can lie with statistics. I'm just letting y'all know.
Yeah.
That's not what we're doing, but that is a way to do that. So this spread looks like it's dollars, but it's actually 22 cents.
22 cents. Right. And it's
Right.
not lying statistically, it's fudging.
It's fudging. Exactly. And the cool thing with that is that to make it look even better, this is how you make it look even more legit. You have some staffer or somebody that works for you go down to Kinko's, and instead of showing this on something that is an 8.5 by 11, you make it so big that nobody can see from one end to the other. And then it's like, oh, holy crap. That's like, so now we're going to substitute. Oh, stop. Okay. It was so big, it's all it wanted to do was that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to substitute minutes on a webinar. So like, if this is 60 minutes, and instead of time, this is viewers. Actually, it doesn't matter. I can put whatever I want in it on there. If this is 60 minutes, and this is 75 minutes, okay, how long should your webinar be, Dean, before you start losing viewers?
It looks like right where I'm starting. And then
Right.
don't go any longer than the start. Just say,
exactly.
Hi, this is Jim and Dean. That's it. Good night.
Right. But this isn't actually how you should do the chart. But the cool thing is that it doesn't matter. You can do it however you want. That's the point. I can put it on the y-axis, the x-axis. I can have a bisecting something or other. All that matters is that I make the numbers do what I want the numbers to do. Okay, so now this is interesting. Faith says, I saw a mini webinar the other day that was 12 minutes and was solely to lead to a call. I've never seen one so short.
Yeah.
I've seen them that short. I've seen a 5-minute perfect webinar. Pete Schneider says 44 minutes. What I have seen over the last couple of years, I'm going to give you the magic answer. Okay. And then Dean, I'll be interested in your take. 60 minutes is the magic number. As soon as 60 minutes hits, you're going to lose 1/3 to 40% of your audience. And I think that's because it's just people are programmed with an hour. I think that's how long, when you do a webinar, people are going to assume, okay, I'm going to block out an hour. I've got, I'll block that on my calendar. That's time in between appointments. A lot of times we do ours at 11 o'clock Eastern. So what's at 12 o'clock Eastern? Lunch. God forbid this should get in the way of my lunch. So my point is that, in all seriousness, from my experience, 60 minutes, if you can have the presentation and the close and the questions answered by 60 minutes, you're golden. At a minimum, you better have started the pitch before the 60 minutes. But I'm telling you, at 60 minutes, you're going to lose 30 to 40% of your audience just because of time. You'll start seeing, I'll catch the replay. I have another appointment. I have something else I need to do, all this other stuff. What is and then I do want to talk about shorter times, Dean. Faith's thing about 12 minutes and other. We have a mutual friend, Mr. Joel Erway, who talks about mini webinars and stuff. But what are your thoughts? What's your experience on the optimal time?
I think one of the things that we are used to in conventional sense is anywhere between 60 and 75 minutes seems to be the norm. However, that being said, I have seen webinars, and I even sent you the link to one last week that was 3 hours and 40 minutes, and they made 58 million. And this is somebody who consistently makes that much money on practically each of the webinars that he does. He's just an expert at it. Now, a couple things in there. He's selling higher ticket items, typically between $3,500 and $5,000. So as the price of your offer increases, you have to knock down a bigger domino each time, which is those objections and the cynicism and the what Russell would call the false beliefs that are going on in your mind. It takes a little longer sometimes, and you have to address more of them to get to the point where the viewer is nodding their head. You also have to be very skilled and adept when you have a webinar this long to keeping your audience engaged. And that means knowing your avatar way better than they know themselves. Now, then there's the other side of the spectrum on something that is short, like what's called a mini webinar, which is it could be in different forms. We know it in terms of like a video sales letter where it's PowerPoint, words, text on a slide, and there's a voiceover behind it reading the words. And the goal of that is what is the core? You're hitting just a core desire. What is the big result that they want? Showing a little bit of the process of how it works. It's all opportunity based. There are the objections and the roadblocks are like the three major ones, as if you're addressing three secrets. Get over that, because the goal is just to get interest peaked enough to get somebody on a phone call or fill out an application.
Right.
So you have to think of what's the context of your webinar? What is the result I'm looking to get? If I'm selling something, what's the price point?
Right. And that's a great point, because most of the people that I've seen that are successfully using the mini webinar model are doing it in order to get somebody on a discovery call, a sales call, a strategy session, whatever you want, a free coaching call. It's getting them excited enough about a result in order to have them want to go to the next step in the sales process. And that's next step in the sales process is typically not asking for money. It's just asking for some time. Now, Faith said, I heard the logic behind the short ones is that those who have the time to watch the long webinars quite often don't have money often for high ticket. I don't think that's true. I think that sounds like BS. What the person's doing is spinning the old saw of, people with a lot of money don't usually have a lot of time to waste. And so they'll respond to something shorter, whereas someone without a lot of money will sit there because they got nothing else to do. I don't necessarily believe that's true. But that's probably where that thought came from. I'm this 60-minute thing I'm backing that up with data from having done hundreds and thousands of presentations and webinars and other stuff like that. People got to pee after 60 minutes. Sorry.
Right. Plus, right. And also, Jim, you have to look at also what is the price point of the thing that you're selling. And typically what you're selling is that kind of the high low to mid range, like anywhere between 97 to maybe, $600 to $1,000 tops on your
$1,000 on a webinar. Yeah.
Right. But right. So
something bigger than that, though, you're trying to get them onto a discovery call, typically, but maybe not. I mean, anyway, yes, the typical thing, what I'm basing this on is selling stuff for $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. Yes.
Right. And to Faith's point about the mini webinar, getting people onto you're targeting the low-hanging fruit. You're saying, here's an opportunity. Here's the result I promise to give you. If you want this, and if you want us to do this all for you, or if you want us to show you exactly how to do this, and you've already been through all the other things, and none of those things worked out, then you're going to be interested in this because we are the people, our solution can solve your problem. So that's what I mean by low-hanging fruit. These are people who are already in what's called the bloody red ocean. They're at the end of the rope with the pain. They've had it. They just said, please, let me just pay somebody to make this problem go away, right?
Yeah. Let me just pay somebody to walk me through this, pay somebody to do it for me. They want to throw money at the problem because they really want to get the result. They really want to solve it.
They also realize is that their time is way more valuable than spending the money. I'd rather spend the money than to invest more time and more resources and more energy and more heartache just to get this monkey off my back.
One other thing that I've seen work really well with the shorter stuff is if your product or service can be sold through a demonstration. I go back to this example. I once bought a $2,000 shrink wrapper because of a 2-minute video on a website. Why? Because we were making our own stuff. You should have seen it, Dean. I never took video of it, but we had the DVD duplicator, CD, DVD duplicator tower. We had the robot arm that would grab them, that would stick them in a labeler. We had a hot labeler, whatever it is, that would silk screen it onto the things. Then it would put them over into the DVD case and close the DVD case. But what it didn't have was a shrink wrapper. So I needed a shrink wrapper that would fit a certain spot. And I found a shrink wrapper, wasn't sure it was going to work. So I found another shrink wrapper, wasn't sure it was going to work. Found another shrink wrapper, and the guy had made a video and he showed exactly how it worked, showed, how to load the film in real time, load the film in, open the thing. He used a DVD case, put it in there, closed the thing. It cut the thing. It did the shrink wrap, and it was done in 20 seconds. I said, sold.
Yeah.
So if you can demonstrate something, you don't need a freaking webinar. You really don't. If you can demonstrate it, it's kind of like the old Ronco commercials.
And what did you pay for that? What did you pay for the shrink wrapper?
It was like $2,000. And this was back in 2004, 2005, when $2,000 was $2,000. In fact, let me whip out I have this thing. I'm such an ass. I have this thing open in my, all the time. It's, basically, what is it today? What is something? So,
in today's money.
So $2,000 in 2004 is the equivalent of $3,137 in today's money. So anyway, I'm obsessed with doing that because I hate inflation so much.
Well, I had a high-end PowerPoint projector. Remember those?
Yep.
It was it was a Panasonic
1024 by 768 resolution.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So it was sitting in my closet for years because I bought it for a live event that I did back in 2007, and I hadn't used it since, and it was just sitting there. And I paid, I think it was like $1,200 for the thing. Right. I went online, plugged in, and it's discontinued, for a decade. And it's being sold for $75. So I put it on Craigslist for $75. Nothing for 6 weeks. I donated it to Pause, which is, one of the it's like it's like
the Humane Society.
It's like a Goodwill, except all proceeds go to the Humane Society. I just donated, and I had an extra bulb, and a bulb cost $200 on its own. I had 2 extra bulbs, and all. I'm going, look, just if anybody wants this thing, they can have it.
Exactly. So the point is, in all of this, just to sum everything up, don't take any more time than you need to do what you need to do when it comes to the webinar. And ultimately, it's not the webinar link that matters to sell. It's the sales copy you use to get the signups, the show ups, and the sales. Because you need to do it in a link that's pleasing to your audience. But if you can't get enough people to show up, or if you can't get enough people to sign up, and if you can't get enough people that do sign up to actually show up, and if you can't get enough of the people that actually show up to actually buy, then it really doesn't matter how long your webinar was. Right. And so if you'd like to know how to get amazing results with your webinars, with your Zooms, with your live events, with your Facebook Lives, with your interviews, with any type of event, it's to be able to get more signups, more show ups, and more sales. Dean and I can show you exactly how to do that. You can head on over to Fill My Webinar Secrets, and we will show you exactly how to get that done.
FillMyWebinarSecrets.com. And what Jim just said is so important, because what you're doing is you, with all the signups and show ups, and you're pre-framing your audience to get into a buying frenzied mode. They are anticipating something wonderful to happen, which is what everybody needs to be doing in their promotional copy, in your emails, in your ads, on your landing pages, in your webinars, in your Zooms. If you're doing a summit, a challenge, a Facebook Live, any kind of presentation, you've got to pre-frame. You've got to get your audience, you've got to get them salivating. You need to get that dopamine dumping in the back of their brain. You have to get them filled with anticipation and excitement before your presentation, before your webinar.
Yep. Or Zoom, or Facebook Zoom. Live,
or online,
or join.me. There you go. All right, cool. Head on over to FillMyWebinarSecrets.com and you can check that bad boy out. Absolutely no charge. We'll train your little ass up for a whole hour. It's amazing. You'll love it. All right, everybody. We'll see you soon.